winning the AI race will demand a new spirit of patriotism and national loyalty.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday laid out his blueprint for relaxing the rules governing the artificial intelligence industry, a plan aimed at winning the AI race over China.
We will not allow any foreign nation to beat us. Our children will not live on a planet controlled by the algorithms. We also have to have a single federal standard, not 50 different states regulating this industry of the future.
The technological arms race is increasingly seen as a defining feature of 21st century geopolitics, with both countries investing heavily in the industry.
The president is on a warpath as it relates to ensuring that America wins the AI race.
Jake Lucerarian is the co-founder and CEO of Pittsburgh-based Gecko Robotics, a company utilizing AI to allow robots to identify potential issues at power plants. He recently spoke to Reuters about the future of AI technology and where he thinks it's headed.
You're going to start seeing robots everywhere. But my take is that you won't necessarily see them folding laundry or making your breakfast, but they're going to be all over physical infrastructure, doing the dirty jobs and enabling folks on the ground to be supercharged with new information and data sets to make their jobs safer and most efficient. These kinds of breakthroughs are what you should expect over the next 4 to 5 years. And again, those that don't move quickly are going to be the ones that get left behind. And so you'll see some pretty large shifts in stock prices.
In the coming weeks, Trump is expected to take additional actions that will help big tech secure the vast amounts of electricity it needs to power the energy-guzzling data centers necessary for the rapid expansion of AI.
What's important to understand, again, is there's two big threats. One is energy and the ability to run these facilities that are doing compute. The second is the data wall that we're running into as it relates to information that's available to train to supercharge these sectors.
After nearly 2 decades of stagnation, this year, power demand in the U.S. is hitting record highs, as AI and cloud computing data centers balloon in number and size across the country. In stark contrast to former President Joe Biden, Trump is laser-focused on removing barriers to AI expansion. Biden feared U.S. adversaries like China could harness AI chips produced by U.S. companies to supercharge its military. He imposed a raft of restrictions on U.S. exports of AI chips to China and other countries. Trump's new plan calls for the export of U.S. AI technology abroad, and a crackdown on state laws deemed too restrictive to let it flourish, according to a summary seen by Reuters.
The European Commission has plans for counter-tariffs on $109 billion of US goods, and it aims to submit the proposal to EU members for approval on Wednesday, all while its trade chief is due to hold talks with US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The Commission said its primary focus was to achieve a negotiated outcome with Washington. That, as it tries to avert 30% tariffs President Donald Trump has said he will impose on the 27-nation bloc on August 1st. Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic is due to speak with Lutnick Wednesday afternoon. That's before Commission officials brief EU ambassadors on the state of play. The Commission may have gained hope from the initial deals struck between the US and Japan. European shares climbed more than 1% after the update. EU diplomats were reluctant to provide early comments and instead said they were picking through details of the US-Japan deal.
Hello. Jerry.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday vowed to retain the independence of anti-corruption agencies. It's a reversal from his position earlier this week when he signed a bill that would have curbed the independence of those same agencies. That bill triggered rare rebukes from European allies, as well as the first wartime street protests in Ukraine. For the past several days, thousands in cities across the country have taken to the streets, chanting shame and veto the law. In a Wednesday address to the nation, Zelensky said he had heard those concerns and would submit a new bill.
Of course, everyone has heard what people are saying these days, what people are saying on social media to each other on the streets. It's not all in vain. We have analyzed all the concerns, all the aspects of what should be changed and what should be enforced.
The law in question was rushed through Parliament on Tuesday, a day after the security services arrested 2 anti-corruption officials for suspected Russian ties. It gives the prosecutor general appointed by Zelensky more power over 2 investigative anti-corruption agencies. The law prompted some of Ukraine's European allies to deliver their strongest criticism of Zelensky's government since Russia's invasion in February 2022. A spokesman said EU head Ursula von der Leyen expressed her strong concern to Zelensky and asked for an explanation. The law's critics say the government appears to be trying to rein in anti-corruption agencies to protect officials. Ukrainian political analysts say the legislation risks undermining society's trust in Zelensky during a critical stage of the war against Russia. Yaroslava Barbieri is a research fellow at Chatham House Ukraine Forum.
The curtailment of these agencies essentially is part of a broader trend that we've observed inside society of growing centralization of power, which on the one hand, generally people inside Ukrainian society have accepted the fact that this is a wartime necessity, but this is one step too far. This essentially is a betrayal of that vision that Ukrainians have been fighting for.
In light of Zelensky's apparent reversal, several lawmakers said Parliament is expected to hold an emergency session next week to consider a new draft bill from Zelensky's office, which the president said would ensure the rule of law while preserving the independence of anti-graft agencies.
The white stork, once extinct in Denmark, is making a comeback with the highest number of nestlings recorded in decades. That's sparking new hope that the birds may once again become a familiar sight in the Nordic country. The white stork population was once thriving in Denmark, with some 4,000 nesting pairs in the late 19th century. In 2008, the birds became locally extinct due to the expansion of agriculture and the loss of wetlands. Hans Skau is a member of Storks Denmark, a volunteer group working to help the species return.
This year is something really special because we have 13 pairs with 33 nestlings, and that's the highest number since '86.
The rebound is primarily attributed to conservation efforts and changing migration patterns. As climate change makes European winters warmer, storks are wintering in Spain rather than locations like South Africa, enhancing survival rates through shorter migration distances. But as the storks migrate further north into Denmark, they face challenges finding enough food for their young. Storks Denmark is spending $4,700 annually to make sure there's enough for them to eat.
When new pairs appear, we know how to offer them food when there's a crisis in the nature, and then they will manage to keep their nestlings alive. And if they get nestlings on the wings, they will come back next year. If the nestlings died, then they would not come back.
Denmark's Natural History Museum is tagging 5 additional nestlings this year with GPS devices to gain insight into the stork's migration paths.
طول عمري في مناطق قدام البحر وطول الوقت شايفين البحر. البحر شكله اختلف تماما، يعني شكله تماما اختلف.
From her 9th floor balcony over Alexandria's seafront, Iman Mabrouk watches the waves. The beach is getting smaller. The water is creeping closer, and nearby buildings have cracked and shifted. Mediterranean waters are rising, and with it, coastal erosion is sending parts of Egypt's second largest city crumbling towards the sea.
أنا كنت عايشة في شقة تانية قبل كده في عمارة وجرى لها ميل، يعني إحنا بعد سنتين بقينا عايشين كده مايلين كلنا، يعني لو كنتي حطيتي حاجة على الترابيزة تحسي إن هي بتجري، وكان ده سبب إن إحنا مشينا منها والسكان أخلوها وبتاع.
In a study published in the journal Earth's Future, a team of researchers estimate that around 7,000 buildings in Alexandria are probably now unsafe. That's 2% of the city's housing stock. So why is this happening? It's two key factors. Seawaters are getting warmer and rising due to climate change. It's happening faster in the Mediterranean because of its shallow sea basin. Those rising waters are leading to coastal erosion. And that, in turn, is sending saltwater seeping into buildings from below, researchers say. You can see the effects clearly in these photos. Between 2000 and 2022, the shoreline reduced up to 30 meters in some places.
المساحة بالظبط تقريبا حوالي 30% من مساحة الرملة اللي كانت موجودة قبل كده. كنا بناخد بالنا منها من عدد الشماسي اللي موجودة، من اتساعها، من الترابيزات اللي بتتحط ورا. دلوقتي مفيش أكتر من اللي انتي شايفاه.
The Egyptian government has acknowledged the problem and promised action. It has put up submerged breakwaters to calm the waves, dumped truckloads of sand to replenish beaches, and set up concrete sea barriers. But breakwaters and seawalls can't stop saltwater from getting under the city's foundations.
And that advancement of the coastline is intruding seawater underneath the infrastructure, eroding it from the bottom up. This is why we see the building in Alexandria being eroded from the bottom up.
Sam Heggie is a water scientist at the University of Southern California and co-author of the study.
For many people that see the climatic changes as something that's going to happen in the future, we don't need to worry about it. It's actually happening right now, right here.
Earlier this month, Egypt's Prime Minister, Mustafa Madbouly, stood atop one of the new concrete barriers and addressed the city's concerns. He said 7,500 city buildings at risk of collapse are marked for demolition, and the government would build up to 55,000 new housing units to persuade people to leave unsafe buildings, explaining that residents often refuse to leave because they have no alternative.
مفيش يوم بيعدي إلا إذا كان هناك انهيار سواء جزئي أو كلي لواحد من العقارات على الأقل اللي موجودة القديمة اللي كان صادر بيها قرار هدم من المحافظة.
There are now about 40 structures collapsing each year, the study says. A decade ago, it was one a year.
الناس اللي جوه عارفة زي أي مواطن مصري عارف إنه عمارته قليلة بس ما عندوش خيار تاني غير إنه يعيش فيه.
Authorities are also grappling with more people crowding into the city. Alexandria's population has nearly doubled to about 5.8 million in the last 25 years. And house prices continue to rise, despite the risks. Some residents are hopeful the seawalls and barricades will make a difference. Others are less convinced.
التآكل بقى إيه اللي مضايقني أكتر؟ إن مفيش حد بيتكلم عنه. إن مفيش حد بينبه الناس. مفيش حد بيقول للناس في كذا بيحصل. افهموا يعني إحنا بيتم التعامل معانا على إن الكل مش عارف فهو مش عارف. بس في ناس نفسها تعرف.